Throughout our history, humans have been trying to find contentment. They've been trying to find a way of just being content with what they have. Whether they have a little, whether they have a lot, whether they're sick, whether they're well, whether they're in a good relationship, whether they're in a bad relationship, we are always trying to find contentment. So if we had to define what contentment is, it is being okay with what is. What does that mean, what is? What is where we are at the moment in our lives, good or bad. And generally good, we have no problem accepting that. But it's things that we interpret as bad that we have a real problem with, which causes suffering. However, the good can also cause suffering, because when you feel good, the opposite of feeling good is feeling bad. So you must know that it's a temporary feeling. Feeling good, something made you feel good. A moment later, something's going to make you feel bad. So you're constantly between feeling good and feeling bad. To understand why it's so difficult to find contentment, we need to understand how we're wired. There is a primitive or a very advanced side to us that has begun generations before the evolution of our thought process. You could call it primitive, but it's not primitive, it's very advanced. Our functions are primarily aimed towards pain avoidance or pleasure seeking. We're either trying to get more pleasure in life or we're trying to avoid pain. So we could call that the polarities, and that's why we're suffering. Is because we look for pleasure, we find it, which is momentary, and then we're trying to get back to finding more pleasure because now we're not feeling as good as we were, and it's this constant need to feel good. And that's what we do. We go online and we're trying to feel good, and everything we're trying to do, we're trying to feel good. Everything outside of us, our relationships, everything what we do is about making us feel good and avoiding us feeling bad. However, it's a trap. So let's talk about what pleasure seeking is. Pleasure seeking is getting more money, having a happy relationship, having great health, having success, having all these things that we want. And if it was easy to get, then it would be easy to be happy. But the problem is, it's never fulfilled. Pleasure is momentary. Pain is also momentary. So we look for pleasure in various things, with sex, with food, with good company, with music, with dance, with drugs, with alcohol. And all these things help us for a while to cope with feeling bad. But what would be more interesting is to sit with feeling bad. We all know how to feel good, but how many of us know how to feel bad? What is feeling bad and what is feeling good? So let's look at the opposite. Pain avoidance. We're constantly trying to avoid pain. And what is pain in our interpretation? Loss, no success, not achieving our goals, bad health, death, anything that is negatively perceived, fears, anxieties. We're trying to avoid these things that'll make us feel bad. But what we don't realize is that avoiding those things that are making us feel bad may be good for us. There's good in feeling bad. Let me explain what that means. When you're feeling anxious about doing something that you really want to do, but you're afraid of doing that, that fear is a good thing. It should drive you to do that, not take you away from it, because at the end of that thing that you challenged yourself lies a feeling of achievement, lies a feeling of conquering. And this is the whole process of you achieving bliss, contentment, and joy in your life, is to be okay with not feeling okay. Everything we're trying to do is just make us feel good. What's wrong with just sitting in your own state of being? So when we're trying to get more pleasure and we're trying to find things that make us happy and achieve our goals and find a better relationship and all these types of things, there is such a polarity in society for what we want. There is a great desire put across by social media, put across everywhere, that we need to become this kind of person. We need to achieve this, that, or the other in our lives. And these goals are so far away, like a perfect body, like enough wealth to keep us going for the rest of our lives, a perfect relationship. These things don't exist. So we're constantly striving to achieve these things that can never be achieved. And so a fire, as if though a fire is burning inside of us, this great need for pleasure that can never be fulfilled. So because we're not getting that fulfillment, we feel lack, we feel empty, we feel hollow, and then we look for stimulation of things that make us feel better now because we're feeling terrible. But if you look at the present moment, it wasn't so terrible until you put your expectations on it. You said, I have to get that, and I must feel like that, and I must do that, and this shouldn't be like that, and that should be like that, and I shouldn't be like that. All that is causing your suffering, your expectation of something that can never be achieved permanently. It's all temporary. So how do we find a balance in our lives? Is it about not craving anymore? Is it about not avoiding pain anymore? Is it about not seeking pleasure anymore? No, this is not possible. We're wired like this. So the wiring is stronger than our minds. So what we have to do is find a balance. We have to be able to engage in the world and be able to go after the things that we love without the great attachment to it that at the end of this thing, I will finally be happy. When I have $20 million, I will finally be happy. When I finally fall in love with this person, I will finally be happy. These are illusions of the mind, and they keep you separate from the present moment. And the same with avoiding pain. Those things that you're avoiding are the things that you have to get comfortable with and encounter and understand and perceive. So the solution then is to spend time in sitting still, in avoiding distractions, in being present with the moment, allowing the moment to be exactly as it is, without expectation. And instead of us constantly doing things and finishing our task list and we've got to do this and we've got to do that, we're just being as we are in this moment, here and now. And is this a strange concept? No, that's how you were as a child. Before, at the age of 7 or 8, you had the rational mind and, this other ego that was created. But otherwise, as a child, you were here, you were doing this, you were playing, you were having fun. Look at children. They are present, but they're not miserable or boring or disconnected or non-attached. They just don't know about these things that cause pleasure and these things that cause pain. So they're not averse to pain. They will take risks. They will do crazy things, what we call crazy. They will dream big because they don't know about failure. But over time, we say, oh, that hurt us, he hurt us, she hurt us, losing money hurt us, losing our health hurt us, and we try to avoid that, which is not living in the present moment. That's living in fear. The same way when it comes to pleasure. Simple things used to give us pleasure, like playing with our friends, eating some ice cream, or spending time with loved ones. That was pleasure for us. But then society, our families are saying, you should grow up. You shouldn't get pleasure from simple things. You should want bigger things. You should get pleasure from buying a house and getting a car and getting married and having children and going on holiday. All these types of things you never knew about before. You never knew you needed them. So you're living in a false state of desire and of fear. So to be able to disconnect and to quench that fire of either desire or pain aversion, you have to get used to what is here and now. And instead of you forcing life, to allow life to be as it is. And it's an active process. You have to engage in this actively. It's not something that you're just going to read about and post on your fridge magnet and all of a sudden you're going to be present and you're going to be still and you're not going to suffer pain and you're not going to get super excited for things that give you momentary bliss. You've got to sit still, allow this moment to be as it is, without a goal in mind. Just to be with yourself, alone ideally, wherever it is, to be without expectation. You're not trying to feel better. You're not trying to avoid pain. You're not trying to create something. All you want to do is to accept this moment exactly as it is and sit in this moment and be the observer. Observe life as it goes by. Observe yourself as you interact with the world. How is your relationship with yourself? How do you feel about yourself? Are you comfortable? Are you still? Or are you anxious? You're trying to get there. or get somewhere. What about just being here? What's wrong with this moment? And if over time you can be comfortable with this moment, then that is bliss. Because you're saying whatever this moment is, I love. So to be with this moment is to be free of desires and to be free of pain. You're just here, being in a state of allowing. It's like a camera in a supermarket. It's just recording, watching everything. So you're watching yourself, you're watching your emotions, you're watching your feelings, your cravings. I need to go here, I got this thing to do. You're just allowing it and watching it. As opposed to the supermarket manager who's in charge. Make sure he doesn't steal, make sure they pack the goods, because that's what your life is. You're the manager. But now you allow life to be exactly as it is. And because you're just recording, you can't change anything. You're just noticing. I feel anxious. So your mind is, you're watching your thoughts like a receptacle, like a little bowl. You're watching and you say, oh, I'm thinking this. Okay. And let that go. Now you're watching this empty bowl. And another thought comes in. Oh, I should be doing that. Okay, let it go. I can't wait for dinner. Okay, let it go. I have a pain in my back. Okay, let it go. And you're just here. I should trim the garden. All right, let it go. I think I should. Yes, let it go. Bring them all in. Allow everything to be. We're always resisting, we're always pushing, we're always fighting, and it doesn't help. What will be, will be. This moment is what it is, as much as you believe you can change it. And become aware of your breathing. Your breathing. And when I was talking, who was breathing? I wasn't actively doing that, yet the breath was going on. My heart is beating, the blood is pumping. My liver is functioning. Every part of me is functioning. Look around in nature. Wind is blowing. Trees are growing. Grass is growing. Weeds are being killed. Everything is in balance. There is this perfect balance all around you and inside of you and in your life, in your affairs, in everything that you desire. It's all perfect harmony. Your job then is to observe this perfect harmony and align with it without thinking about it. Just to be as you are. This is when inspiration, when intuition, when the answers you truly seek will arise. When you quieten down the mind, awaken the body, tune into your breath. You'll notice when you're anxious, there's a breathing pattern. And when you're calm, there is a breathing pattern. And when you're asleep, there is a breathing pattern. And when you're in great state of expectation, there is a breathing pattern. Notice this. Notice how you react to different people. Someone may come across arrogant, and notice how you are. This is what the purpose of meditation is. The word meditation comes from the Greek word to become familiar with. So what does that mean? To become familiar with yourself, with your impulses, with your desires, with your great dissatisfactions, with everything that winds you up, everything that you love. Be aware of it. Be aware of your breath, be aware of your body, be aware. And the only way you can be aware is by practicing, because our brain is thinking at a ridiculous pace, always constructing the next thing, going here, going there. And 80% of our thoughts are repetitive. They're the same stuff. Your money, your relationship, your health, your dying, your friends, your work, it's the same things, just masked in different forms. You're not getting any solutions. You're just caught in the rat race of thinking. So observe. You don't have to take my word for it. Sit and see. And see how difficult it is for you to sit and just be with yourself. And the more you can become comfortable with the moment as it is, the more peace you find, the more contentment arises. And then bliss arises as you sit by yourself in a room with your family, doing work. Because you're here, you're now, without an expectation. So practice this and let me know how it changes your life.